Hey guys! So this video will be about me climbing the highest mountain in Malaysia. This is going to be my version of travel vlog. But it's not just going to be about my experience and about my perspective. But most importantly, it is going to be about having to live a life from a different perspective. So, let's go! Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So as you guys know that I went to climb Mount Kinabalu in Sabah on March 2nd, and for those who have climbed that mountain before, you know that it would take 2 days to climb the mountain, and our slot was on March 2nd and March 3rd. Our preparation work was actually went way back to more than 6 months ago. It was actually one of my friends suggested the idea that we should climb the highest mountain in Malaysia. It was actually her dream to go up, and she was just asking around who wanted to follow, and I liked the idea, so I said yes. And my friend, she planned everything, but we travel on a tight budget, okay? Because you know we're all working people and we don't really earn much, so we travel on a tight budget, and we didn't use agent. My friend actually planned everything herself, planned everything for us. We decided to apply for the slot ourselves, so waiting for openings to apply for the slot is like for a few months, and we were actually doubting whether this could be done, but thankfully we got the slot, and then we started to buy flight tickets, cheap flight tickets, look for a more affordable accommodation, plan everything, and we search from the internet. What should we do? What should we be expecting? What should we buy and all that, like bags, shoes, everything. So I skip. 6 months later, it's time for us to go to Sabah. But then the world was hit by this pandemic, coronavirus, and there was a time we actually contemplated whether we should go or not. But then we decided that we should go, because it took us more than 6 months, right, to prepare, and it's hard to get a slot. We were so lucky to be able to go to get the slot, and we were not sure when will we have that chance again. So we decided that we should go. So on March 1st, we boarded the plane to Sabah, and of course we were using protective gear because it's this airport, and I have to mention that at that time when we traveled to Sabah, the outbreak in Malaysia wasn't that serious yet. People can still travel around, even the international flight and all that. And thankfully at that time, Sabah and Sarawak, we still did not have any case, so we were safe. So domestic flights, it's fine. And so we went to Sabah on March 1st. So after we landed at the airport, we took a bus to Padang Merdeka, and then we had our breakfast there. We bought some necessary things, and then we took a van to Ranau, to J residence, the place that we could spend the night. Actually, that night we pre-ordered our meals, our breakfast and lunch for the next day at the nearby cafeteria. I forgot the name of the cafeteria, but we pre-ordered there. The next day, on March 2nd, all of us woke up early, and after getting ready, we collected our meals, and then we went to Kinabalu Park to register ourselves. And that was a time that we met our guide. His name was Peter Subin, and the nicest guy I've ever met in my life. I think the best guy we ever had. I mean, of course, because I've never tried other guide before. This was my first climb, so he was just an amazing guy, right? Really amazing. So all of us took a van after that to Tim Pohong Gate, and there he briefed as usual. You know, he briefed on our journey that we need to go. That our journey right now on the first day is to reach Panalaban base camp. So he gave our tags. All of us have our tags, and we started a journey at about 8:45 a.m. I love outdoor activities, right? I've done jungle trek in my life, and as you guys know, I started my morning run since June last year, and it was great. And I was well prepared for this trip, but then I realized I wasn't always ready. I was a beginner climber. I never climbed mountain before, so that was my first climb. And for a beginner climber like me, it was really hard. I have to tell you this, right? The path was actually relatively easy because it was just like a ready path. It's not like jungle trekking. Jungle trekking was much more challenging because there was no track. You have to trek through the jungle, but this one was easy. But I wasn't expecting having to cope with the altitude. The thinning air actually made the whole journey so difficult. Okay, it's not even 2 kilometers yet. It's fun. It's tiring as well. The others are behind me. Talk to your camera. I want to die already. Okay?
No, okay.
And I was like, gosh, this is so difficult. I had to constantly stop to catch my breath. And we are all going up. It's really going up, you know, and the staircase and all that. And at one point, you know, my friend asked me, why do we have to torture ourselves like that? And of course, I just only laugh. And I said, because we thought it would be fun. Now, let me tell you something about adventure. It is not always fun. But if you take it with some positivity, every step of the way will make you a better person. It would allow you to embrace different kind of experiences, and that serve as an opportunity to learn. You see, it's easy to enter into a familiar territory. You have your knowledge, you have your skills. It's easy. But when you step into an unfamiliar territory, an uncharted water, everything that you are about to experience will catch you off guard. And that was the moment when you start to think that this is stupid. And all you wanted to do was to go back, to return.
Want to turn back or whatever. We've come this far, oh my god.
There's no way that we can turn back.
We're at 400 something
Yeah,
now.
exactly. You go. The journey to Panalaban base camp is 6-kilometer hike, right? And I think about halfway through, I started to feel so tired, so exhausted. And the journey to the base camp felt like a never-ending road to nowhere. Seriously. And that was a time that I doubt whether I could actually arrive at the base camp. And along the way, there are many porters. At that point, I realized that these people must have some techniques to go to the base camp without running out of energy. I mean, they carry heavy stuff, some up to 80 kilometers, so they must have some techniques, right? So I started to observe them, how they conserve their energy. And I found the technique, and I used that, and it worked. So I began to be able to walk further much further away without having stopping so much. And I arrived at the base camp a few minutes before 5. I was the first to arrive among my friends. One of them arrived like 10 or 15 minutes later. The other arrived, I think, about 6:30, and then another one almost 7:30. The one that arrived at 6:30 and another one at almost 7:30 told me that they almost gave up. They almost gave up because the morale wasn't that high anymore. They were exhausted, and it was so cold. But I'm so glad that they arrived at the base camp. All of us had dinner, and we rest for the night. So we began our journey to the peak the next day at 2:30 a.m. And that was a challenge because it was cold, it was dark, everybody had our headlights on, and there were a lot of stairs, and the stairs were so high. For me, it was like doing step box because I'm short. I have a shorter leg, so it was a little bit of a struggle for me. That I decided to crawl, and I found it was much more easier than walking upstairs. I didn't care that people are watching, you know. I could conserve my own energy. That works. What the heck, right? And then I reached a point where there was no more stairs. It was really mountain climbing. There was ropes, and you really have to climb. And it was so steep. I knew it was very high, but thankfully it was really dark. I couldn't see it, but it was really steep. I couldn't feel it. It was really steep. At this point, I was scared. I mean, for someone who never tried mountain climbing before, this was really scary. And at that point, I had a lot of thoughts in my head. You know, I questioned, like, will I fall? Will my strength give up? I mean, it was a long way down. I definitely didn't want to fall, and I definitely wanted to go home in one piece, right? I decided to put my phone in my bag because I was so afraid that I was going to drop it. I didn't even take out my camera. I was so scared. And then I reached a point. I was so glad that I reached a point where the surface was now a bit flat. It's no more really climbing up. It's just walking. It's like walking up on a hill. So that was a bit of a relief. But you know, the first day felt like a never-ending road to nowhere. The second day felt like a million miles away to the top. I mean, I could see the top. I think I saw the top, but I saw the peak. But I wasn't reaching it. So at that point I almost give up. You know, I almost give up. And about 6 something, I turned my head and I saw the sun the sun was about to rise, and I was like, oh man, I was going to miss the sunset. But what the heck? I had to walk slowly because now the air was really thin. That I had to take a break after a few steps. So that was a great challenge. I arrived at the top at 7:30 a.m. And the view from the top was extremely beautiful. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, I missed the sunrise. That's a bummer, but the view was amazing. And then I thought, everything that I went through, all the struggles, all the tiredness, all the exhaustions, you know, all the hunger, you know, that I went through was all because of this. Of course, my aim was to go up and reach the highest mountain in Malaysia. But it gave much more than that. And I think that it felt like I could see the world from the top, you know. now I could see the big picture of everything that I do. So I think that is what it means to have a different perspective in life. It is to be able to see or to have a sense of beauty and love and intimacy as a person. Is to be able to see the world as it is, the beauty of it, despite all the ugliness that the world provides you. And with having that kind of perspective, we start to live our life differently, because now we can see the beauty of it, the beauty of our hardship. That life itself is so beautiful despite all the struggles, all the sufferings, all the pain they have to go through. If you have to go through all that, then despite looking at those struggles, look at the bright side, look at a different perspective of life. There's something more that you could miss. A more meaningful life, a more beautiful life, only if you would not give up. You will keep on journeying to see the world, the beauty of it, despite the ugliness. I think if once we embrace this kind of perspective, it will reveal something about you. That you can be someone that is inspirational. You can be something more. And you can inspire others to be more. So, yeah, that's all for my video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.